Hey y'all, welcome to Survival Dispatch. Today we're joined by Dr. Michael Fabian. Welcome to the channel, Mike.
Thanks, Chris.
This is about the 10th take we've tried to do on this because I keep messing it up. But today we're going to be doing a review on Contingency Medical's product, which is antibiotics for emergency situations, much like the recent review that we did on Jace Medical's product. Mike, do you want to kick it off here?
Absolutely, Chris. Thanks again for having me. I want to go over the antibiotics that are in this kit and give my 2 cents. This is my medical opinion. It's not medical advice for anybody. It's a fairly decent kit. It's got a nice variety of different antibiotics to treat a number of different conditions. One of the things I'm going to go through is I'll just go through each one very rapidly just to give you all an idea of what's in it and what you can kind of use it for. One of the first ones is amoxicillin clavulanate, which is trade name is Augmentin. Most people use that for a lot of skin infections. It's a penicillin type antibiotic, so some people can't take it. The next is nitrofurantoin, and that's used for urinary tract infections. A lot of women have used it multiple times, and many of you out there are familiar with that. It's a simple antibiotic to use, not a lot of side effects. The next is cephalexin. That's also in the penicillin type group. It's basically a drug class that's similar to the penicillins, but in a little bit different drug class, and that's used for a lot of skin infections as well. And it's considered what's called a cephalosporin. The next is doxycycline, and that's a tetracycline, and that's got a lot of different uses. It's got a lot of different antibiotic coverages for different bacteria and some other things as well. So it's a good go-to antibiotic for a lot of different conditions, and it's relatively inexpensive. The last one, antibiotic-wise, is azithromycin or Zithromax. A lot of people have taken this when they have bronchitis or they have pneumonia. So it's good to treat something if you're catching something out in the field. It would allow you to help clear that up quickly if you needed to. The other parts in the kit include things for diarrhea, loperamide, which is like Imodium AD, ondansetron, which sounds like a deer, but it's actually one of the Santa's deer, but it's the trade name is Zofran, and that's used for nausea. It works very well, and it's actually relatively inexpensive. And then finally, scopolamine patches, and if people have heard this kind of the slang term scope patch, a lot of people that go boating use it to help with them with seasickness. Some people use it when they travel by air, and it can help when you're nauseous. You just have to be careful. There are some side effects, so it's important to realize that. Let me comment, Chris, about the field guide that comes with it. It's called the Antibiotic Field Guide by Contingency, and it's a fairly extensive guide and instruction booklet, but some of the small drawbacks about it is I have a medical degree and I know how to read through it, but if you don't, it's a little bit confusing and a little bit daunting, and it's written in small print. So if you're like Chris and I and you need your reading glasses, it's a little bit more difficult to follow. So compared to one of the other companies, I would consider this to be a little bit more difficult, but still, all in all, it's thorough and it's actually complete. But it's just important to know it's a little harder to follow.
So on that point, looking at our criteria here, Mike scored the easy to understand instructions component at 7 out of 10, still very respectable. Going right back to the beginning, shipping time was 5 out of 5. It was a very fast process. Packaging, as far as sturdiness, appearance, and whatnot is concerned, this came in a hard case, really does a good job of protecting the medicines. So we scored it 5 out of 10. The website description and accuracy, we scored that at 10 out of 10. Website's exceptionally well done. The product appearance and aesthetics, again, subjective, but we gave that a 10 out of 10. This is a really nice kit. They really knocked it out of the park when it comes to their packaging. As far as the overall quality and value, there's somewhere around $150 in meds approximately in the kit. The price is $299.99, so $300. So the $150 in meds plus packaging plus the doctor consult at $300, still a really good value. So Mike gave it a score of 8 out of 10. Product support and customer service was extremely good. Much like other products we've reviewed in this category, the whole process took less than 24 hours. It was really well done. It was very well thought out. And then the kicker for all of our reviews at Survival Dispatch going forward, this is an American-made product. We scored it 15 out of 15. If you haven't seen any of our other new product reviews, the only way to get 15 out of 15 is to be American-made. If you're one of our allies, like a NATO partner, 7 out of 15. And if the point of origin doesn't fall into either one of those categories, then it's a 0 out of 15. So overall, the Contingency Medical Plus package, which is what this is called, scored 9.4 out of 10. There were a couple things, though, that Mike felt should be included, like a anti-parasitic. I'll let you speak to that, Mike.
Okay. One of the other kits has a medicine called metronidazole in it, and that's a good anti-parasitic if you get giardiasis, if you drink contaminated water, for example. It's also good for some gram-negative infections, which are some things that you pick up from feces, for example. You can have water contaminated with animal feces or human feces. And so that would be something that would be relatively inexpensive added to the kit if they put it into like a deluxe kit, for example. But it's a very inexpensive med, so it would be easy to add to it. One of the other things I mentioned to Chris is another antiparasitic is ivermectin. COVID aside, it's useful for many other things. And it's a very inexpensive drug that could be added easily as well. So either one of or two of both of those would be good. And then finally, I mentioned to Chris potentially considering an EpiPen. However, most EpiPens now are running over $100 for one. And a lot of people that have allergies usually carry one around already. But let's say you already have a sensitivity to some degree, and then you get out there and, for example, you have a sensitivity to insect stings and you get into a beehive, and you get stung a bunch and suddenly become anaphylactic, or you have an allergic reaction that's life-threatening, an EpiPen could be life-saving. The thing is with those is they have an expiration date on them, and they're relatively expensive nowadays compared to how they were just a few years ago. And so I don't know if that's something that would be included in a kit either.
Well, there are 3 different price points from Contingency. And from what we could tell, the differences in price are actually the quantities of meds supplied. And so Contingency may want to consider, going to a good, better, best model where the top of the line package has an EpiPen, maybe at the middle level introduce ivermectin or the other meds that Mike mentioned that are anti-parasitic. But overall, we're really, really impressed with this. We just came out of Hurricane Ian here in Florida and can see all kinds of practical uses for a kit like this. We've still got a lot of stuff that shut down, and we didn't even get hit near as hard as they did on the West Coast, pardon me. We're on the East Coast. But highly recommend that every serious prepper consider having a product like this in your collection.
Agreed. In Florida, we always prepare for hurricanes and other things.
And other things, right. Like elections. Anyway, appreciate your time, Mike. Thank you for weighing in on this subject, and we'll see you back again sometime.
Count on it. Thanks again, Chris. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Yeah, and I flubbed that as well, but we're going to roll with it anyway. Thank you all for following Survival Dispatch.